Jordan, there was a viral video of you, bro. It
Yeah,
sparked a lot of interest, and I know you know the video I'm talking about. So,
of course.
the video of you is you intervened in an altercation where a man was apparently beating up his girlfriend, and you stepped in, man. And what I really love about that video, bro, is you show compassion, you showed empathy. And the beauty about jujitsu is it's one of the few martial arts on the planet where you can deal with an altercation in a more humane way. But can you break down what happened that night, man?
Yeah, yeah. So I was just walking my dogs at the park with my friend Zyra, who also trains jiu-jitsu with me. She's been on Medusa before, Zyra Cousins. But me and Zyra trained jiu-jitsu. We were walking our dogs. It was a every normal every day. It was a little later at a park called Sunset Park here in Vegas, which is known to after dark kind of have some homeless people there and some troublemakers and not the best crowd, but like, it's still a nicer park, so we were walking our dogs around, and I heard a girl screaming, like a horror movie, like bloody murder, and I looked up. This girl was sitting down on her butt, and this guy was standing up, and when I looked up, the guy soccer kicked her in her face. She got knocked back and staggered, like, up to her elbow. He soccer kicked her a second time and lifted up his foot and stomped her in the head and then huddled over her and just started hitting her with, like, overhand rights over and over again when she's curled up in the fetal position. And that, mind you, I'm a good, 20-second jog away, like a couple 100 feet away. And there's other men there, which was the crazy thing to me. There's 4 or 5 other men within arm's reach, like close by. And they're just standing there, like open, like not doing anything. And so I immediately ran over to the guy. I thought I was going to hit him when he wasn't looking. He squared up with me. He dropped his hands down by his sides, and I took that because this all happened in a moment. I wasn't even thinking. I was on autopilot. When he brought his hands down by his sides like this, I seen him reaching into his right pocket. That's at least how my brain registered it in the moment. And I'm like, oh God, like this guy's pulling out a gun or a knife. And so I grabbed his hand and I pulled his hand like straight down to the floor, and that bent his posture over a little bit and put his neck in front of me. And so I just jumped on his neck and snatched the rear naked choke. And when we fell down, I trapped one of his hands with my legs and I put him to sleep. And then when I put him to sleep, that was my next thought is, oh God, like, what did I just do? Like, because this was also during the time, I don't know if you're familiar with the character named Daniel Penny. Daniel
No.
Penny. Daniel Penny is very well known in America. You can look him up after this. This actually happened around the same time period, the same time frame as that case with Daniel Penny. Daniel Penny is a white guy in New York who jumped on similar thing to me, but the guy, I don't know the full ins and outs of the story, but the guy was a white guy, jumped on a black guy, choked him unconscious, and because he was like attacking or somebody or being rowdy on the subway, but he
Yep.
choked the guy unconscious and killed him, like,
Oh,
didn't
this was
let the
in New
choke
York.
go.
I do remember this.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Did
Yeah.
not let
Yeah.
the choke go, and this yeah, and so that happened before a couple weeks or a couple months before this happened to me, and so when I choked the guy unconscious, that was my next thought is, "Oh god, am I the next Daniel Penny?" Like, what's gonna happen to me because of now the situation that I'm in, like, hopefully this guy just wakes up. And he did because I'm no, as soon as I choked him unconscious, I let him go. As soon as he went to sleep, I let him go. And he woke back up and he tried to sit up, but I had both of his arms trapped and I was on his back. He tried to sit up and I pushed him down on the chest and I was like, yo, dude, chill, like, relax. We're going to hang out till the cops get here. You were just beating on your girlfriend. And he's like, man, that's bullshit, man. And I'm like, oh God, like, here we go. Now the guy's going to be talking shit now forever. And I had to hold the guy for like 15 minutes until the cops got there. And the viral video portion of the video you see is when I grab the guy by the mouth and start shaking him around. That happened because I had to hold him for like 15 minutes. I was angry. I wanted to
Mm.
hit him, but I didn't want to go to jail. And
Yep.
so I was like trying to figure out in my head, what can I do to this guy to like get him to understand that I can really hurt him? And I'm
Yes.
like you're lucky that I'm choosing not to hurt you. Like, and so I was like, "Oh, I could just grab him like a little kid and shake him around on camera." And so that's what I did because I was very angry, and that was how I got my anger out in the moment without going to jail.
Mm.
And that's, and people loved it.
It was a fascinating video, Jordan, and as I said, you showed compassion. You didn't hurt the guy, and we both are martial artists. We train jujitsu, and the thing about martial arts is all martial arts have a place. Striking has a place. And the thing with jujitsu is it deals with an altercation in a more humane way. And especially
Yeah.
in a bullying situation, like if a child is in a playground, if he hits the other kid, he gets suspended. So this is the power of jujitsu. How much of your training kicked in? So were you thinking, oh shit, I need to be careful. I don't want to strike. But was it just instinctive?
Complete instinctive. I've never learned
Wow.
this technique ever in my life. It was essentially kinda like an arm drag, but it wasn't really like an arm drag. So for an arm drag, you usually grab the same side wrist, and then you reach through and you drag,
Yep.
right? I seen his right hand reaching for his pocket, so with my right hand, I reached and grabbed his hand and just pulled it down to the floor, and then I grabbed it with 2 hands and just pulled it down by our knees, like, down towards the floor, and when I
Yep.
did that, since I cross grabbed his hand, that pulled his posture over and essentially did almost like an arm drag,
Yeah.
right? And that it just brought his neck right in front of me like a gift. It just pulled I never it's not like I intended to jump on his back and choke him. Like I said, I thought I was gonna run over there and just hit him.
Yeah.
But fight or flight instincts kicked in, and immediately I feared for my life, which was kind of unnecessary because the guy ended up he might have been homeless or like a drug addict or alcoholic or guy was not in a good place in his life. I highly doubt he had any type of weapon in his pocket. But in the
Yeah.
moment, that's what my brain registered it as is, oh, he's reaching in his pocket. I have to nullify that threat. And so I grabbed his hand and just yanked it down to the floor and
Yes.
then his neck was in front of me. I know what to do when somebody's neck's in front of me, so I just grabbed it and choked him, like, right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he end up having a weapon, Jordan?
I don't know. I didn't pat the guy down. I helped the cops arrest the guy, but I didn't see his pat down. I didn't see what they found in his pockets. But if I had to guess, no, I don't think the guy was actually reaching for him. I don't think he was actually going for his pocket. That's just how he squared up. You
Yes.
know, like a lot of people square up like this, like they drop their hands by their sides
Yeah.
for whatever reason. But yeah, I don't think he was actually reaching for a weapon, but in the moment, that's how my brain registered it. And it
Ye
ended up working out well for me because if not, I was just gonna hit the guy and we
uh,
would have been in an actual fight. Because I fight MMA as well, at least I
yeah.
used to.
Yeah.
I fought amateur MMA. I've trained MMA with Extreme Couture with the pro team for like 2 or 3 years. I was sparring at the UFC Performance Institute with like guys like Thomas Almeida and Cody Garbrandt.
Wow.
Like, so I know how to bang with the best of the best. Like I'm very confident in my stand up striking, especially against an opponent who doesn't train. Like,
Yes.
um, and the nice thing about that is every single fight I see jujitsu as a byproduct of fighting, right? In boxing, the referee needs to be there because a clinch is established every 15, 20, 30 seconds to a minute. Whether they want to or not, they end up colliding, clinching, and then now they're dirty boxing and they have to be separated. That's jujitsu, right? I'm going to fight with you until we grab each other just by two forces colliding. And now once we're grabbing each other, boom, the fight's over. It's done. I know what to do. But,
Yeah.
yeah, it ended up working out because I didn't it was probably better for me not to actually hit the guy, and I didn't have to actually hurt the guy, and I just used
Yeah.
my jujitsu, so yeah, everything
And
worked out.
And I saw the full video on YouTube, and I think a lot of people need to go watch that
Oh,
video
nice.
because, yeah, they only saw little snippets on Instagram.
Yeah,
And, at one stage, you had him in a figure four body lock, a body triangle. And then he was complaining about not being able
um,
to breathe. And then you
he
loosened
could
up.
breathe,
And what
and
really
I
annoyed
loosened it
me,
up because I was worried, bro. If you want, yeah, I'm cool. That's cool you watched that 10-minute video so
I
you
watched
can
the full
see.
one.
You
Mm.
can see and there was actually more than that because a little bit happened before that and a little bit happened after that, but that 10-minute is the majority of what happened there, and yeah, the guy was complaining that he couldn't breathe and saying that it hurt. I was not squeezing the guy. I was holding him very loose, even in the body triangle, and then, yeah, I loosened it up because I was showing compassion to the guy for whatever reason, but my compassion was more of fear, if that makes any type of
Mm.
sense.
Yeah.
I didn't wanna go to jail. I
Yep.
didn't wanna go to jail, and that's why everything was also being recorded so that if push came to shove and we went to the courts, we could show the courts and the jury or whoever, the judge, we could
Yeah.
show everybody, look at this guy. He was not trying to hurt him. Obviously, he was not trying to hurt him. Look, he said he was hurting. He loosened up on him. He wasn't choking him. He could breathe. He showed his hands like, look, dude, you can breathe just fine. That's why everybody's like, oh, you were showing off your tattoo. I have a tattoo. It's on my forearm. It just so happens to be here. If I put my hands up like this, it looks, oh, he's showing. I'm not, wasn't showing my tattoo off. I was
Yeah.
showing that the guy could breathe to the
Yep.
potential judge or jury that I was worried about. I
Yeah.
didn't, I, I didn't, because the whole Daniel Penny thing was going on. I'm like, I
Yeah.
am not going to be the next Daniel Penny. This guy is fine. He can breathe. He is not hurt. He's fine. So that's why I kept
Yes.
putting my hands up like this. That's to show everybody around me the guy is not being hurt. I'm not hurting him.
Yeah. And what was his reaction when you jumped on his back, choked him out? He woke up. He must have been thinking, "Oh fuck, this guy's trained."
I don't know what that guy was thinking, man. He knew that he was not getting out because like another funny part of the story, there was a couple guys around and they didn't do anything. They didn't do anything. But if you watch that full 10-minute video, there's like three dudes there and they're
Mm.
talking. There's like two of them that are his buddies, and then there's another black dude helping me hold him down on his knees.
Yep.
And they all came by after I choked the dude out, after the situation was already handled. The
Mm.
situation's already completely under control. And then that guy came up and he's like, "Hey man, don't worry. I'm a security cop at the mall. I'm a security guard at the mall." And I was like, "Bro, like, you're fine, dude. Like, I've got this guy." And he's like,
Yeah.
"Turn on your stomach. Turn on your stomach." And I'm like, no, bro, he's not
Yep.
turning on his stomach. I'm not gonna put this guy belly down, and I'm not letting go of this body triangle because then a scramble could happen. Like, I've got this under control, man. Like,
Yeah.
if you see in the video, I'm like smiling at the guy, like shaking my head at him, and I'm like, nah, bro, like he can't turn on his stomach. Like, he's fine. And then the guy that I'm holding, the woman beater guy, he talks to the guy on his knees, and he's like, yeah, what he said, I'm not going nowhere. Like,
And
so
and to
the
be
guy knew
honest,
the guy knew he was trapped. He wasn't gonna go nowhere.
yeah, and to be honest too, Jordan, this is a perfect representation of jujitsu. And I'm sure you've seen the viral video of Andrew Tate where he's talking about BJJ is useless, never go to the ground against multiple attackers. If
Which
they
I do
pull out
agree
a
with.
knife, things like that.
I do agree with these
Yeah,
arguments.
everybody agrees. It's a death sentence to go to the ground regardless if you train any sort of martial art. But the thing about this video is you need to understand the spectrum of violence and the
Exactly.
laws, because do you really want to be doing a 50 move kata on someone's head? And for a one-on-one situation, sometimes the fight goes to the ground. And if the fight goes to the ground, you need to learn how to protect yourself. But this is the beautiful thing about this video is you deal with it in a humane way,
Mhm,
because there's a level of violence on how much we can inflict on somebody. What were some of the people saying in the comments about
mhm.
their reaction to the
Oh,
video?
man. Oh, man, the comments are an absolute race war, bro. It is hilarious. The comments are just everybody and their mom and their cousin and their third cousin, everybody in the comments arguing amongst themselves, like, it's like I say that because there's so like this account will comment, and then if you click on the see reply, there's like 32 comments. That's just a mini argument within one comment, and then
Yeah.
there's like 10,000 comments. So it's like people are calling me a racist. People are calling me a hero. People are calling me a clout chaser. People are calling me Captain Sabaho and like a guy who's like meddling in people's business. People are saying everybody's got their own opinions. Everybody's
Mm.
got things to say, and I love it all. I
Yeah.
love it all, man. It's because it's just blowing my page up. It's just getting more views on me, and I
Yes.
know I'm not a racist. I know I'm not any of the bad things people say about me, you know? I know what I did was right. I know what I did. I handled the situation as respectfully and
Yep.
maturely as I could possibly handle the situation. I'm very proud of myself,
Yeah.
you know? And so for sure if and that's the other thing. I could have clipped that video out. There's a 10-minute video. I really, really wanted to clip it out into like, and I probably should have. Most people would have, especially in
Mm.
this Instagram age. I'm still kind of thinking about it. I could have clipped that video out and made 10 viral videos, but I only
Yeah.
made one little highlight of it. And like, posted it just to show what happened, you know what I mean? Like, and I
Yes.
felt like, like if I'm gonna do a good deed like that, sure, I'll take the good things that could possibly come from it, you know what I mean? So it just helps me out. So I'm
Yeah.
happy about everything. It's helping my brand, it's helping it's just helping me move on in my career.
Yeah. What did that teach you about the differences between sport jiu-jitsu and the street? Because how you grapple in class is totally different to how you grapple in the street.
Yes and no. It was there because in competition jujitsu, I always pull guard,
Yep.
right? And I wouldn't ever pull guard in a street fight, of course not. And like I said, in that certain situation, I was just on fight or flight on like that was an improvised technique. I never
Mm.
learned that technique in class or anything. But I am a firm believer that your jujitsu in class and your jujitsu in a street situation or an MMA situation should all be the same jujitsu.
Yes.
It should all be all the same jujitsu, right? And the jujitsu that I'm practicing when I'm training is my like worst case scenario jujitsu. Is like, okay, I'm losing a fight. I'm in a street fight and I'm losing. What do I do if I end up on my back and I still have to pull a win out? You know what I mean? I could go into like I'm not going to tell the whole story. At least, yeah, I'm not going to tell the whole story, but I I used to sell some illegal flowers that used to be illegal here in the United States. And once upon a time on one of my transactions, I got into a fight with a guy who was trying to rob me and we ended up fighting, and then in the middle of the fight, I realized this guy knows how to fight. Oh, this guy's probably an MMA fighter. And in the middle of the fight, I got taken down. The dude knee tapped me, and I ended up on my back in the middle of the
Yep.
street. And the guy was standing over me I was about to lose the fight. It's the worst place you want to be. I'm on my back. I just got taken down. The guy's standing over me. And then I shot up double outside Ashi. I swept him down. I passed his foot across to 50-50, and I started tearing his knee in 50-50. It's
Wow.
exactly what I would have done in class because my instincts kicked in right away. You know what I mean? So like my jujitsu that you see a lot of the time in competitions is like what where I don't want to be
Yeah.
in a real life situation. But I'm also a realist and know that I could be there. And if I ever am there, I want to be able to reverse that position or submit a position immediately, because that you're about to
Yes.
lose the fight. You're about to potentially die. So you need to be as sharp possible there, even more so than in a safe situation. So that's like
Mm.
my kind of thought process behind it. That's why I get so good off of my back, because in a situation where I'm losing a fight and then boom, I got hit really hard, I got rocked, or I got taken down, I'm on my back, and now there's somebody on top of me about to hurt me really bad. I need to know how to protect myself always. So that's the whole basis of my jujitsu like style and stuff, if that makes any
Yeah.
type of sense. I think your jujitsu in class and self-defense should be nearly identical.
Yeah. I was talking to Jeff Glover as well, Jordan, and he was saying the exact same thing. You know, how you
Yeah.
grapple in class, depending on the guard. The guard is a perfect example. And your guard, man, is without a doubt world class. It really is, man. I think I can
Thank
think
you,
of a
man.
handful of 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu guys. There's yourself, there's Ben Eddy, obviously Eddie Bravo, but
Yeah.
your rubber guard, man, is fucking amazing. And I've seen you, I've watched you in competition. You can do things with your legs like people can do with their arms. Like I've seen you escape mount where you will bring your legs on the inside and like how did you develop this flexibility? Were you always flexible?
I was always flexible, and I developed this style and these techniques from being told no, from being
Mm,
told that this stuff is not going to work, from being told that I'm dumb, that I'm a retard, that I'm an idiot, that I'm this, that I'm that. From being told no so many times, I was I'm a very defiant person. I don't like being told what to do. And so when I was I and then I'm always seen jujitsu as one thing, submissions. Submissions. I never really viewed it as like the old school style of like position before submission. I grew up watching MMA, and so the only point of jujitsu, in my opinion, was to finish the fight. And so when
Yes.
I started training jujitsu, the only thing I cared about was submissions. And my coach started to get mad at me, as most coaches do to white belts, and they preach position before submission. You have to get to a dominant position before you get to a submission. And I would struggle in the guard. I would get wrapped up in people's closed guard, and I couldn't pass, and I couldn't escape, and I would be frustrated, or I would get mounted and I couldn't escape the mount. And I would be frustrated. And I'd ask my coach, like, hey, how can I submit from here? Like, I'm in somebody's guard. How can I submit them inside their guard? Oh, I'm in the mount. Like, how could I threaten a submission from the bottom mount? And my coach would laugh at me and be like, you can't. It's not possible. It's not even worth trying. It's not going to, even if you could submit a white belt, you're never going to submit a black belt. It's never going to work at the high level. And I was like, what? Like, there's got to be something I could do. Like, I still have my two legs. I still have my two arms. Like, I should be able to find a submission somehow. And then that was also before Eddie versus Hoyler too. And so I started doing a lot of rubber guard before 10th Planet Las Vegas. And everybody was like, oh, that 10th Planet stuff doesn't work. That 10th Planet stuff doesn't work. Like, why are you even doing that, kid? That stuff doesn't work. And I'm like, oh, like what? And then Eddie versus Hoyler 2 happened. 10th Planet got more established in the community and more
Yeah.
respected. And then 10th Planet Las Vegas opened up. And when 10th Planet Las Vegas opened up, I was so excited. I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to learn rubber guard now. I'm going to learn more 10th Planet stuff now. And if you know the 10th Planet Las Vegas style, they don't really do any 10th Planet for the
Yep.
most part. They have their style, their wrestle jitsu style, that Andy Varela style, you know, it's and then Casey Halstead as well is a very wrestling, passing, on top style. And so I didn't really get to learn anything there either. And they also told me the same thing. They were like, hey, man, you have to get better at your passing guard. You have to get better at your wrestling. You have to get better in these areas. You have to stop doing these low percentage submissions. They're not going to work in the highest level. And I was like, man, like I'm starting to have success. Like I'm starting to do things. Like I was starting to throw my feet over in people's guard and stuff. I was doing that since white belt.
That's
And so
amazing.
essentially from being told that my techniques weren't going to work and that they're low percentage, I made them high percentage and made them work.
Yes.
um, I was very determined to prove people wrong, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so that's kind of where those techniques evolved from, is being told that there's no possibilities. And I just knew that was wrong. I was like,
Yeah.
jujitsu is such a new sport. It's such an infant sport. People haven't even been doing jujitsu that long. Like, we don't really know what we're doing. There's new submissions all the time. There's new techniques all the time. Like, I started training in 2012. And even then, when I started training, I just knew that there had to be submissions from inside people's guard. There had to be a way to submit somebody, even if you're mounted. There had to be a way to do it.
Mhm.
And my little double leg senkaku system of bringing my feet inside works
Yep.
very well for those two specific positions, whether you're mounted or the guard, because it's essentially the same position. You're just
Yes.
one's on bottom, one's on top. Yeah.
Yeah, for those people that don't know, double leg senkaku, you, as I was saying earlier, you are able to get your legs on the inside of their hips with your ankles crossed, and this is when you're underneath someone in mount, and especially if someone's like really really close to you. But I've seen you do this many times. You can get your legs on the inside, and
Yep.
then you're able to enter the legs, which is insane. Like, it's amazing how you can actually do that and then get into this double trouble dilemma where you have both heel hooks. I've seen a video. I think it was might have been was it? I think it was the Eddie Bravo qualifier. You got in double Senkaku, and either heel you could just attack.
Hmm.
So how did all this eventuate? Your game plan, like, it obviously just came with a lot of rolling, and because you had that natural flexibility. But
Hmm.
can anybody train to get this flexible?
Yes, I definitely believe so. I'm a firm, yeah, dude. People go, especially like dudes, like males, that we can't really do the splits that easily, most of us. And then there's all these kung fu guys that can do the full splits out. I can't do that. I'm not very flexible there. But you can train your flexibility to go deeper into your range of motion. Most people just don't train the flexibility that I have. I have hyperflexibility in my knees, especially like inward. Like, if I'll show you right here. I can bring my foot
Oh,
behind my head super
shit.
easily. I can bring my foot to my same side shoulder very, very
Wow.
easily. Most people can only bring it to their far shoulder.
Yep.
I can bring it to my same side shoulder super easily. I can bring my foot up this way a lot easier than most people can, which is like I don't even know what it is. It's the inside of your knee, I think, where I can stretch
Yeah.
a lot this way.
You
It's
remind
very
me
helpful
of
for
the
rubber
Street
guard.
Fighter character. You know the Street Fighter character Dal Sim?
Say that again?
The Street Fighter character Dal Sim. Do you remember the Street Fighter
Oh,
character?
no, I don't. I
Ye
don't.
yeah, so he's a character in Street Fighter. He has that very flexible kind of, fighting system or fighting style. But can you lock a full triangle? I've seen somebody
No,
triangle
no,
themselves. Can
no.
you do that?
I cannot. No, you know who you've seen do that? Derek Rayfield. Shout
That's
out to
it.
Derek Rayfield.
Yeah.
Derek Rayfield, we were talking about rubber guard players earlier. Derek
Mm.
Rayfield is also one of the best rubber guard players on the planet Earth, has one
Yeah.
of the best dead orchards on the planet. And he also trains with me over at Planet Las Vegas as well. So
Yes.
shout out to Derek Rayfield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's insane flexibility.
He can't do
Wow.
that no more. He can't do that no more, but he used to be able to. When he used to be able bro, I have a video, if you scroll way back on my Instagram, like, to the beginning posts, it was when he was, like, 14 years old. He can lock a dead orchard. He can lock a two-arm in triangle without his hands, bro.
Oh my
I watch the
gosh.
video sometimes, I go back and watch the video just because it doesn't make sense. Even
Yes.
watching it, I'm like, "This just doesn't seem possible." He was young, he was 14, and that's when he was training with Eddie Bravo all the time and just doing all 10th Planet stuff. He still does a lot of rubber guard and stuff, but he's more developed. He's blended both very well. He does the 10th Planet style and that 10th Planet Las Vegas Andy Barella style very well.
Yeah.
Keep an
That's
eye out for Derek
insane.
Rayfield. He's doing a lot of big things.
Yeah. That's insane. And how much of your flexibility transferred over into MMA?
I only had a couple fights in MMA, and so it didn't transfer over. I didn't get to use it that much. The I was fighting amateur for Tough Enough, and the rounds are only 2 minutes. My sparring sessions, like I said, I was sparring with the pro team, and the sparring session rounds are 5 minutes.
Wow.
And so I didn't really put the 2 and 2 together that I was training for a professional fight and going into an amateur fight.
Mm.
And so the pace is much different in an amateur fight compared to a professional fight, 2 minutes versus 5 minutes are very different lengths. And so it
Yes.
was more of almost like a street fight. Like, it was more of like it was I didn't really get to debut as much as my flexibility as I wanted to, and that was also due to my defiant thought process at the time, as everybody was telling me when I was fighting MMA that I had to do jujitsu. Everybody was like, "Oh, what are you gonna do, Jordan? Your wrestling's not that good. You have to do jujitsu. You have to do jujitsu." And I'm like, "Why do I have to do jujitsu? This is MMA. I'm going to strike. I'm going to scrap. I'm going to hit the guy. I'm gonna." And that's what I did, and I had mixed success, but,
Yes.
I
Did
should
you
have been
wrestle in high
focusing.
school?
I wrestled 1 year,
Yep.
and it was only JV, and I failed, like, all of my classes, so I had academic probation, so I didn't get to compete, so I only got to practice with the JV team for 1 season, so not really.
Ye
All we did in wrestling was a double leg, a single leg, a sprawl, and we never went live. We
Yep.
literally never went live the entire time, which made me very upset. I was like, "Hey, when are we gonna go live?" He's like, "Oh, we're not going live yet. If you wanna go live, you go to varsity. Stay after." And I'm like, "Man,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna stay another." I already hated school. I wanted to go home, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And so you said you started jujitsu in 2012. What sparked your interest to try jujitsu?
Man, I'm trying to get better at telling this story without being so woe is me about it. Um I had a lot of, adversity when I was younger. Like I mentioned earlier, I was failing all of my classes. I didn't know what I was gonna do when I got older, like my job. I knew I wasn't gonna go to college, and, my parents were very on me about, like, "Hey, you need to figure out what you're gonna do. You need to get a job or you need to fix your grades so that you could go to college or do XYZ. I was struggling to have good grades. I got bullied really bad, and then I got jumped by a bunch of kids one day. And when I got jumped by all these kids, I was like 14, I think, and I always thought I was gonna be um, kinda like cowardly, because I got bullied a lot and I never really stood up for myself. So I thought like if I was to get jumped by a bunch of kids or get beat up, that I would like cower away and be afraid. And when I got jumped by all these kids, for whatever reason, I was just angry and like my fight or flight was all fight. Like there was
Mm.
like 10 kids versus me and my friend Blake, and literally 10 versus 2, and they all jumped me and they were all fighting me, and I was just screaming at them like, "Come on, guys, like fight me one on one. Like, you guys won't fight me one on one." And at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is I figured out that my fight or flight was kind of like wired wrong in a situation where I should have ran away. That was the logical thing. They were trying to get me to run away. I was ready to die.
Yep.
I was just angry. I was like, dude, I will fight to the death for no reason. Just and I was like, oh wow, like I didn't think I was like that. Like apparently I'm not afraid to fight. Like in a situation where I thought I was going to be terrified, I something came out of me that I didn't know was in me. And so I can fight, I guess, or at least I'm not afraid to. And I grew up watching, the UFC because my dad got his blue belt in the '90s, and so UFC was, like, my household sport. I grew up watching MMA and UFC in, like, the early 2000s when nobody it wasn't a big thing, you know? And, so as a depressed kid, stressed out, just got jumped, failing all my classes, didn't know what I was gonna do. I was like, like freaking out, and I'm like, what? How can I solve this situation in front of me? I have all these problems. How can I plug this hole? And I was like, oh, well, if I become a fighter, people won't bully me. I'll be able to I had bunch of girl problems. I'm like, "Oh, I won't have as many girl problems. Girls will wanna talk to me. Guys won't wanna bully me. I'll be able to pay for my I'll be able to pay my bills and have a job and support my family, and so I can get my parents just to leave me alone. They're my dad's already a MMA fighter. My dad's probably gonna, like this. I'll be able to make my parents proud." And so I was like, "Oh, like, this seems like a great idea to do." And I just took it and ran with it, and it didn't do exactly what I thought it was going to do, but it gave my life purpose, and that's really what I needed at the time. It gave my life
Yeah.
complete purpose, and, I had goals, I had a reason to move forward, and so jujitsu legitimately saved my life.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
incredible. And, have you always lived in Las Vegas? Like, did you where
Yep.
have you Yeah,
Yeah,
yep,
I'm born and raised here.
yep.
Me and my parents and my granddad actually went to the same high school. I'm 3rd generation born and raised in the same little small town of Henderson. It's Henderson and Vegas is the same thing. It's just like the city right outside of Vegas. But,
Yes.
yeah, most people are transient, like, moved here from somewhere else. I've lived here my whole life. That's all I know.
Yeah. And what about the gi? Do you train much in the gi or just all no gi?
I haven't trained in the gi in a while. I trained in the gi when I was a white belt a little bit, um, but I probably only have, like, a year and a half, maybe 2 years formal gi training. With that being said, the last time I trained in the gi, I was a brown belt, and I rolled with some tough black belts from Autos. Not
Yep,
gonna say any names, but I did very well against them. They couldn't submit me. I did very well. I did
y
very well, even with the gi on. Everybody's like, "Oh, put a gi on, Jordan." Jiu-jitsu is jiu-jitsu. If you have good jiu-jitsu, why are my techniques not gonna work in the gi? Like, we just put a gi on and I'm essentially I'm doing the same thing.
yep.
My wrist grips are the same wrist grips. My elbow grips are the same elbow grips. And now I have even extra friction from the gi. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And Las Vegas is notorious to have some of the world-class coaches, and you're a jiu-jitsu black belt under Jake Shields.
Yes.
Um, and what has Jake taught you about grappling and, the mindset? Like how much of Jake's, training philosophy have you sort of taken in?
Yeah, Jake has taught me a ton. Jake has fixed a lot of areas or helped me on a lot of areas, I should say. 'Cause I still do struggle there a little bit, but he's helped me a ton with my passing and my top pressure.
Mm,
Now I know how to be heavy on top. I know how to impose my will on top and pass the guard on top and really like smash on top because Jake is one of the best guard passers in the entire world
Yeah.
of all time, you know? If you ask Donaher and Gordon Ryan about their body lock passing, their body lock passing what's it called, like, system, their
Yeah.
body lock passing system, it comes directly from Jake. So they'll if you ask them where did you guys learn this body lock passing stuff, which took the whole jiu-jitsu world by storm, all that stuff they credit directly back to Jake. And Jake's my number one training partner. Me and Jake train Monday through Friday every day. And a lot of the time it's just me and Jake.
Yeah.
And Jake does not take it easy on me at all. Jake does not wanna lose a round. Jake doesn't wanna lose a minute, you know, and so he's a very tough round, man, and I even with my good guard, I struggle to keep my guard, and he passes my guard a lot,
Wow.
but because of that, I know how to feel heavy on top, and when somebody else is my size trying to be heavy or make me uncomfortable on top, it's, like, cute to me. I'm like, "Oh, man," like, I'm so I'm chilling, man. Like I could be in the worst positions possible, like bottom out or bottom side control. It's very hard to make me uncomfortable now because Jake makes me so uncomfortable every day.
Yeah. It's interesting, I think jujitsu, it does. It presents itself as an uncomfortable and intimidating scenario, especially if you're rolling with people that are bigger. And no one
Yeah,
likes getting crushed. I'm a jujitsu black belt as well, and I've rolled with some of my good jujitsu black belt friends, and they are heavy. Like I got this one friend of mine, he's about 110, 105, 110 kilos. So what's that in pounds? It's like I don't know, 220 something pounds. And
yeah,
he's heavy. He's really, really heavy. But I think the great thing about jujitsu is it teaches you to become uncomfortable. And this very
exactly.
much can reflect in life. But how has jujitsu helped you overcome obstacles in your everyday life?
Like I said, man, jujitsu saved my life. Like
Yeah.
everybody says that, but jujitsu legitimately saved my life, bro. I was so uncomfortable as a kid. Again, I don't I almost hate talking about it sometimes because it sounds like a woe is me story, but I also realize it's good for me to speak about it sometimes
Mm.
because other people could be going through the same troubles and
Yeah.
issues.
Yeah.
I personally, man, when I was younger, when I was 14, 15, right before I started training jujitsu, I was so uncomfortable with life and just school and stuff. I would wake up and I had to keep a trash can by my bed. I would wake up and just grab the trash can and puke, just throw up from
Oh,
anxiety. I was
wow.
so like I did like I was very, very, very uncomfortable as you could possibly be. It's like so much so when I thought about life, the first thing I did was throw up in the morning because I didn't want to do it.
Were you anxious
And
about going to school or the bullying or
a lot of different things,
yeah.
bro. Like I said, I had a lot of problems when I was younger. I got bullied really, really bad. Um, I had a lot of problems with my first couple girlfriends. I was failing all of my classes and like just couldn't that was the thing too that I was feeling bad about is I wasn't failing because I wasn't trying. Like I was trying, bro. I just couldn't do it, man. Like I just for whatever reason couldn't it wasn't for me. I could not get myself to do it. And then I was in the dean's office like every single day. All my teachers were it seemed like everybody was mad at me. My parents were mad at me, the teachers were mad at me, the didn't like me. The girls around me didn't like me. I just seemed like nobody really liked me, and I was really, really anxious about the future for my life because I was like, dude, I'm so uncomfortable now what is the future gonna hold, you know? And once I started training jujitsu, like I said, I found purpose and I really got better with handling my anxiety and just dealing with reality and the people around me through being uncomfortable. I
Yes.
realized that I had a problem I didn't know how to control my emotions and to recenter myself, how to breathe, how to not have an anxiety out of a panic attack, how to
Mm,
be in a where pressure's raining down on you, how to just be like, "Okay, it's gonna subside. This isn't gonna last forever. I can breathe. What can I do? What's in front of me? How can I frame? How can I move these obstacles off of me? What can I do now in the moment
yeah.
to make this better?" And jujitsu brings that out of you. If you can manage to keep going through jujitsu and have real tough rounds and you're rolling with people that are smashing you and you can go through that, that teaches you how to manage anxiety in real life because you
100%.
have to. If you have to in jujitsu, if not, you're gonna quit.
Yep.
You're gonna you're gonna quit, and when that's also why there's such a high dropout rate of jujitsu is because most people can't handle it.
Yeah.
Most people can't handle that type of pressure. They don't know how to relax themselves and how to breathe, even though there's some giant sweaty dude dripping his sweat into your mouth with all of his weight smashing down on your chin. Like, if you can handle that, life becomes easy. Like,
Yeah.
if you can figure out how to manage that situation and control yourself there, controlling yourself in normal everyday situations all of a sudden becomes much easier. And so, yeah, it really helped me, man.
Yeah, 100%, Jordan. I think too, the first 6 months of jujitsu is the hardest. The first 6 months
Yeah.
to a year, because you're getting your ass handed to you by people that are smaller than you, weaker than you. Uh, and not only that too, you're going to be rolling with people that are much heavier than you. And life is really challenging when you're stuck underneath someone that's super heavy. It's like being stuck under a truck.
Yeah.
What would your advice be to someone that really wants to stick with jujitsu that's having a hard time getting over that first 6 months to a year?
Don't give up on yourself. Just don't give up on yourself. That's usually what happens. And like I especially at like the highest level of jiu-jitsu competition and fighting, it's not even really about technique anymore. It's 90% mental, 10% technical. A lot of matches are predetermined. Before the guys even touch each other, one guy's having a bad day and is kind of somewhat second guessing himself, and the other guy is completely believing in himself, and he knows he's going to win.
Yeah.
It's like things like that. It develops a way for you to manage your circumstances on top of you. Just don't. You're training jujitsu because you obviously want to train jujitsu, right? But you're extremely uncomfortable. You got to manage that uncomfortability and for your own self because everybody has their own different reasons why they're training jujitsu. You know what I mean? Everybody's got different reasons, but you obviously have a reason why you want to do it. And if you quit because you're uncomfortable, you're going to quit because you're uncomfortable in all sorts of other things as well.
Mm.
Right. And so that would be like my advice is just don't give up on yourself. Things are going to get easier. Things are going to get better as long as you go through the fire,
Yeah.
that like you said, that first 6 months to a year is pain,
It
bro, is just
sucks.
it sucks. It sucks
Yeah.
for everybody. But, yeah, it that's I will say this as well, jujitsu is not for everybody. Jujitsu is not for everybody, but if you feel called towards jujitsu and you want to do jujitsu for whatever your reason being, then don't give up on yourself. See it through. At least, get through that first year. Because that even whether you get your blue belt or not, if you can get through a first year of jujitsu training, you have a pretty solid grasp of self defense that's going to follow you through many years. That's going to
Yeah.
help you out. You may use it and you may not use it, but if you have to use it and you're not able to use it, you're gonna wish that you were able to do something. So like life's unpredictable. It's always better to have something and not need it than to need something and not have it. And it's
Yeah.
you defending yourself is I feel like very needed as for anybody, no matter where you are on the planet. You should always know how to defend yourself. Even if you live in a perfect world when everybody else is around you and you're like, I'm never gonna get into a fight. You never know. It's always
Yeah.
better to know how to fight and not have to than not know how to fight and get beat up.
Yeah. I heard Hannah Gracie say this too, Jordan. He said sometimes the fight picks you.
Yeah,
Like, you could be
exactly.
you could be the most peaceful person in the world and avoid confrontation at all costs, but sometimes, the fight picks you.
Mhm.
And what really annoys me as well, Jordan, is, going back to that video, that viral video of you, I saw a couple of the comments, saying, "The jujitsu's useless, why would you use jujitsu? Why don't you just pummel the guy?" Uh, and, I was talking about that Andrew Tate video. Um, if you're dealing with multiple attackers, of course, don't go to the ground. If the attacker pulls a knife, 100% do your best to try and avoid, getting stabbed. But if the fight goes to the ground, generally it might be because you've been taken to the ground against your will. So learning how to get back to your feet is a very important skill to learn. And then knowing the laws is really important too. Because we've had many incidents over here in Australia, Jordan. So there was an epidemic of, we call them coward punches, like, which is basically a king hit. It's
Sucker
somebody
punch.
that just, yeah, sucker punch, yeah. And
Yep.
we had about, I think, 30 or so fatalities within the last, 15 years or something. We had people as young as 18, 17 getting king hit and then even dying. Like, people just don't understand the ramifications of what can happen in a street fight because it's absolutely devastating. What do you wish more people knew about self-defense?
Not necessarily what I wish people knew about self-defense. It's that I wish people would recognize, like what you were just saying, that life is violent.
Mm,
That humans just have a violent tendency about them. Not all of them, not all of them, but some of them do. There's some evil people walking around, dude. There's some really, really evil, villainous, just violent people walking the face of the earth, and you never know when you're going to encounter one. You never know when one's going to cross your path. And that's the other thing. You don't know when one's going to cross your path and then choose you because they cross your path all the time. People that are super violent just for whatever reason aren't violent in that moment, but that could come out of them, and if you're in front of them, you're in trouble. And so just realizing the need for self-defense, I think, is more important than knowing any one thing about self-defense, if that makes
yeah.
any sense. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. There was, I don't know which state in America, but they said it was mandatory for all police officers to get a jiu-jitsu blue belt. What do you think of that?
I love that. I love that. There's actually, well, I'm not gonna get it, but, I used to compete for an organization called High Rollers,
Mm.
and High Rollers did an event called Cops versus Stoners,
Oh,
and
wow.
Cops versus Stoners was put on by foundation called Adopt a Cop.
Right.
And Adopt a Cop, what they do is they like take donations in, and then they will fund a certain gym. And if that gym has an Adopt a Cop program, law enforcement officers can go to said gym and train at that gym for free up until blue belt. They
That's
won't have to
amazing.
pay, yeah, they won't have to pay tuition until they get their blue belt. Um, and so that's what the Cops versus Stoners event was like a um, fundraiser for Adopt a Cop to have more money for the police, and it was like an event to bring the community together. It was
Mm.
police officers who train jujitsu and are active duty police versus people who train jujitsu and actively smoke marijuana or smoke weed, right?
Yeah.
And then they put them in a tournament together, and we had a bunch of super fights, and I'm 2-0 against cops.
That's amazing, Jordan.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah.
Do you remember the High Rollers competition? I saw a video on YouTube, I think it was Vice, where the idea is
Mhm.
you compete stoned.
Yeah, that's high
Yeah.
roller. That's high
Yeah,
rollers. Yep.
yeah, yeah. So
Yep,
does
yep.
everyone smoke weed before they compete?
They're supposed to.
Yeah.
They're supposed to. There was a couple guys that did it that didn't smoke anything. They just don't smoke, and they were doing high rollers, and I'm like, "Bro, like, what the hell are you why are you doing high rollers? Like, you don't
Mm.
smoke, do you?" He's like, "No, I don't smoke. Do you want my weed?" Because you win weed, or that even if you win or not, a lot of the time they'd give you a goodie bag just for participating. High rollers was awesome, dude. Shout
Yeah.
out to I should say High Rollers is awesome. Well, they're supposed to be doing more events. I hope they do, knock on wood. Um,
Yeah.
but
You
they
can I
they
think
really were doing, like, a lot of really, really, really cool events when they had a venue in Vegas. They had
yeah.
all sorts of high level UFC fighters there. Merab Dvalishvili had a couple, high rollers matches,
Yeah.
and that was one of the ones where, Merab had a match against another guy named Damian Nickton, and
Wow.
Merab and Damian both don't smoke weed. Neither of them smoke weed, but they had a match at High Rollers. But at the end
Yeah.
of the day, it is what it is. It's a jiu-jitsu tournament. We're
Yeah.
not gonna. They're like, oh, you're supposed to smoke weed before you compete, but like legally, we can't force you to smoke weed before you compete.
Yeah.
So like, you know,
I
it
think
is what it
everyone's
is.
probably high in there from the secondhand smoking anyways.
Exactly. The place was hotboxed all the time. So if
Yeah.
you're there, like, you're gonna be getting a contact high.
Yeah, and I think is the prize money or not the prize money, but you can win like a pound of weed or something?
It's a pound. It is a pound. Yes.
That's insane. And competing in combat jujitsu, Jordan, it's a whole different level. And your rubber guard obviously is going to play a huge role. But adding strikes, how did that change your approach to grappling?
Again, it didn't really change my approach to grappling. A lot of people think that my style won't work with strikes, but
Mm,
I know that it works with strikes because I train at Extreme Couture and I do a lot of the classes over there with the professional fighters and I put on the puffy gloves and I do my jiu-jitsu with strikes against professional fighters. And that's the same techniques I do in class. A concept
yeah.
that I think about a lot that you should always apply to your jujitsu that will make your jujitsu better comes from one of my old coaches, Andrew Ram. So shout out to Andrew Ram. Is you should never, under any circumstance, let a grown man touch your face.
Mhm.
There's no reason for another grown man to be touching your facial features under any circumstance, whether we're rolling or not. You should never. That's just a great rule of thumb in life as a man. You don't
Mm,
let another man touch your facial features. And so when you're training, you should keep their hands off of your face. Anytime somebody can collar tie you or grab your neck or guillotine you or push on your face or anything like that, if I can touch your face, I can hit your face. Right. And so if I can stop you or limit you from touching my face and keep my facial features clear while I'm rolling, that is training with strikes without strikes.
mm,
You just kind of see what I'm saying? So even when
yes.
there's no strikes, I'm thinking that the person is able to strike me.
Mm,
And so I have my frames up. I'm blocking the elbow. I'm blocking the shoulder. I'm imagining the strikes. I'm imagining the strikes in front of me, whether they are there or not. And so that's also what a lot of my combat jujitsu matches were. My next combat jujitsu match, I am going to counter wrestle. I'm not going to pull guard right away, at least I
yeah.
think.
Yeah.
But I pulled guard a couple times in combat jujitsu. I beat Javier Garcia for the third time. He's my buddy. That was the first time in combat jiu-jitsu, but he's the double champ of LFA. He was the 145 and 155 champ of LFA. He's a good MMA fighter. He's probably going to go to the UFC here soon. And I pulled guard on him and played knee shield and slapped him and beat him up from bottom off of my back.
Nice.
That's another thing I'm a big proponent on that a lot of people don't do that I'm haven't got a chance to showcase yet because I haven't been fighting MMA, but that's striking from bottom. I think
Yes.
striking from bottom is a very underutilized art and a very underutilized skill
I
that
agree with
people
you
do not really use. A lot of people
100%.
are like, "Oh, you can't strike from bottom." Why? Why not? Why can you not strike from bottom? And now we're starting to see a couple KOs even from bottom position. Like you seen Jacare get knocked out by Kevin Holland
Yep.
when he sat up, boom, from bottom position, knocked him clean unconscious. It's like,
Yes.
why can I don't care that I'm on my back. If we can fight and I can throw strikes, especially if elbows were allowed, dude. Oh my God. With
Yeah.
elbows and up kicks, I don't care who you gotta be a good fighter to hurt me with elbows and up kicks, bro. Like you're
Yeah.
not gonna be able to get to my head. I'm gonna keep my head away from your punches and your kicks. How in order to pass the guard, you have to grab my feet, right? If you're gonna grab my feet so that I don't up kick you, now both your hands are tied and committed to my legs. I have two free open hands. I can just strike open freely. And now what happens to you psychologically when you get hit when you're on top and I'm on bottom? You get angry. Immediately you get angry. You're on top and you have somebody on their back and they hit you off of their back, immediately you're like, "Oh," like, you don't like it. You get angry and now you're frustrated and now you're coming at me emotionally and now you're going into all of my traps. And so that's what happened in my combat jiu-jitsu matches. Is the guys hold my ankles, they try and throw my ankles to the side and dive bomb over like Dan Henderson, and then I catch it and boom, I'm in my overhook, I'm in my rubber guard, bang, you're done. You're wrapped
Yeah.
up.
I can't remember who did this, Jordan. It might have been it was a combat jiu-jitsu. He got his competitor in a go-go plata and he was striking him at the
Dom
same time.
Lobo.
Yeah, he was striking him at the same time. And you're 100% right. Like if you can learn how to utilize your guard and implement strikes, I think I remember Hoist Gracie used to strike off his back. I think there was a few fights I watched of him in the early days. He would use his guard and strike as well, and it's pretty
A little bit,
devastating.
yes. A little bit,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what
Royce Gracie was known for those kicks he would do in the
oh,
guard to your kidneys, bro. Yeah, that
yeah.
are illegal now. That are
Ye
you can't do them now to the strikes to the back. Back
y
in the early days in the UFC, he
yeah,
would
I
just
remember
close his
that
guard and just start stomping his heel on your kidneys
in
and the
the
bottom of your
kidney.
spine.
Yeah, yep,
Like, yeah, that's the other thing. It's like in a street fight, if you know how to use your guard, and you're think that's most people that are thinking about their guard in jiu-jitsu are strictly thinking about jiu-jitsu. That's why I'm trying to tell you is like I'm thinking about strikes always. Like even when I'm playing my guard, I'm like, oh, here's my up kicks, here's my elbows, here's my strikes, whether I'm allowed to do them or not. So like your
yeah,
initial question was how did combat jiu-jitsu change my training or something like that? And my answer to you was it didn't. It didn't change anything at all. Maybe I was
mm,
a little bit more hyper focused on really keeping the hands off of my face, like really hyper focused on keeping my face clear. But other
yeah.
than that, it didn't my training didn't change.
I think that's the message too, Jordan, is people when they argue about the question if jujitsu is really effective for the street is you want to be integrating jujitsu with striking. You
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the
Yes.
message. You don't just wanna be utilizing jujitsu, controlling overhooks, underhooks, collar
No.
ties, rubber guard. You wanna be implementing striking from bottom
Yes.
position as well. It's the same thing
Yes.
if you were on top, like, look at GSP, grapple box, he would be inside the guard. I think Jake Shields does it too. Like, I've watched him, he would strike obviously from half guard, get on top, inside the guard, strike. It's the same thing from bottom position.
Yes. Exactly.
Yep,
Exactly. If you understand distance management and how to keep your head safe and how to block punches and how to tie up their arms and win inside position, which you need to do all of this for rubber guard. If I can wrap an overhook, block your forearm bicep, and then win inside position on your shoulder and establish rubber guard,
yep,
now I have inside position. I can strike you now. And so it's
yeah,
like, but a lot of guys aren't thinking of strikes. And the people that could be thinking of strikes, even they aren't thinking of strikes from bottom just because we're told no so often. There's a misconception or a believed notion in the community that striking from bottom is like futile, is pointless.
yep,
It's like, why like, don't even do that, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your energy, you're just making the guy on top mad, there's no point to strike from bottom. If you're on bottom, you need to stand up. If you're on bottom, you need to recover guard. Like,
yes,
that's this is the I and, like, I've just never been on the same wavelength or thought process as,
mm,
like, everybody else. I've always seen things as a little differently. And so my whole thought process is I'm trying like a lot of people have that mentality, but they don't do it off their back just because they don't believe in it. They
mm,
don't really understand. They don't have a good guard. They don't have a good foundation off of their back. So they couldn't really strike effectively off their back even if they wanted to. And
yeah,
in order to develop a good guard, it takes a lot of time. Most
yeah,
strikers aren't going to spend the time to develop a good guard and good distance management in order to learn striking, especially when they don't even believe that it's possible, you know? So it's
yeah,
like, if you
yeah.
don't believe something's possible, it's impossible,
Yeah.
you know? And that's what most of the community sees striking from bottom as is like useless. And so if you see it
Yes.
as useless, it's always going to be useless.
Yeah. One of the things I have found very fixated on, Jordan, I'm fascinated with it, is the idea of utilizing clothes for choking. So in the gi, right? People
Yeah,
argue, does the gi transfer to the street? Can you utilize the gi in the street? Like, if you think about this, right? If you live in colder climates like Russia or something like that, if you grab someone with a woolly jumper and you throw them onto the concrete,
for
it's
sure.
absolutely devastating. And
100%.
we've actually rolled with so in Australia, Jordan, in June, July, August are our winter months, and my students, what I get them to do is I get them to bring a jumper in and we'll roll in that. And to be honest, it's pretty amazing. The things that you can do in the gi, you can transfer that into the street like a
Course,
hoodie, right? That acts
of
like a
course.
hangman's noose. Yeah,
So
what's your thoughts on that?
I was just gonna say, bro, there's some street fighting techniques and like jail techniques that I
Mm,
know about that are essentially gi techniques that people don't even I don't think people would put the two and two together, but that's how my brain sees it. Like
yep.
there's an old school technique, bro, where like in a street fight, if the guy has a hoodie on, you can grab his hoodie and pull it over his head and just pull his head straight down to the floor. Like you're almost pulling his hoodie off, right?
Yep.
And when you do that, now you have complete control over him. He's bent over in front of you. You can knee him in the head. You have front headlocks right there. Or one that I see too is they reach over the back and they grab, like almost like they're taking your shirt off, and they
Mm,
pull it over your head like this, and they pull
yep.
you. Now
Yeah.
I'm blinded. Now I can't see,
Yeah.
and you're controlling my head, and you're pulling me down. And
Yeah.
so like these are techniques that I see a lot, and like I've seen those things happen in real life too.
Mm,
But
yeah.
just because a lot of people fought in my neighborhood when I was younger. But
Yeah.
yeah, like it definitely works. For sure, for sure it works.
Yeah.
I am a big proponent of. I still like no gi a lot more than the gi because the no gi. It, it's not that the gi doesn't work. It's just that the gi doesn't work always.
Mm,
What if I
mm,
fight you with no shirt? What if I fight you with no hoodie? You
yep.
know what I mean? Especially out here in Vegas, it's hot most of the time, bro.
Yeah.
Very, very hot. Well, the guy that I fought at the I'm not fought, the guy that I choked out, the woman beater, he had no shirt on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No shirt. Where's my grips? Where's my collars? And in a self-defense situation like we were talking about earlier, you can't think. You have to react. You don't have time to think. And so if your first thought process is to reach for a collar or a lapel or a grip, the grip isn't always there.
Yeah.
But the grips that are always there is on a human body. Your elbow is
Yes.
always here unless you don't have an elbow and fight and do with one arm. But, like the wrist is always the wrist. The elbow is always the elbow. The neck is always the neck. And so that's why I believe no gi is more superior, is because
Mm,
no gi, that you don't, your fight or flight responses are what you're going to rely on in a self defense situation. And if you
yes.
reach for a collar or a grip, or like you grab the wrist like this and you're used to there being a sleeve here and it's not there, you're a step behind. And that's all
Mm,
it takes in a street fight situation. Things are
yeah.
dangerous. If you make one mistake and you're a step behind, boom, now you're rocked. Now your
Yes.
jiu-jitsu's out the window. Now you're drunk on your feet. And so I want to be able to do my jujitsu even under any circumstances, whether we're fighting naked in an elevator. I
Yep.
don't care where we're fighting, bro, what's going on. And then that's the other thing. I want to be able to do things even if I'm in a bad situation. Oh,
Mm,
okay, I slipped and fell on a banana peel. There's a dude over the top of me now trying to stop my head. Like, how do I keep myself safe here? Like the worst possible place you want to be in jujitsu's for self-defense,
mm,
right? Boxing, wrestling, kickboxing, Muay Thai are self-offense martial arts.
yes.
Jiu-jitsu is self-defense.
Mm,
Jiu-jitsu is what to do if I'm in a bad position. That's at least how I see jiu-jitsu a lot of the time.
that's a good way of thinking about it.
You
Yeah.
can use it for self-offense, right? I can strike from the bottom. I can do things, but it's for self-defense. The essence of jujitsu is the guard. The difference between jujitsu and wrestling a lot of the time is the guard. The guard doesn't
Mm,
exist in wrestling, right?
yes.
That's kind of like what separates the two sports. And so the essence of jujitsu is being on your back, is defending yourself with your legs. And so, yeah,
Yeah, I 100%
yeah,
agree with you. So if someone wants to sort of specifically train jujitsu, if they work in correctional, police, security, um, maybe they do a little bit of MMA, should the majority of their training be, say, 80% no gi and then 20% gi? What do you think?
yeah. I'm a firm believer in all no gi, bro. I think the
100% no
gi's
gi.
I think the gi is fading out. I think the gi
Yeah.
is gonna be like a hobbyist only type of sport in the next few years. Because the gi where does the gi come from, bro?
It's with a traditional kimono in Japan. Yeah. Yeah.
They were wearing kimonos in feudal Japan in, like,
Mm.
the samurai era, bro. Why are we still wearing kimonos?
Yeah, that's true. Times are
And this is
changing.
coming from me, bro. I got Japan tattooed on me. Look, I
Yeah.
got Japan, Brazil, and USA for jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
I love history.
Yeah.
But, like, the same way the singlet is fading out of wrestling in high schools, they're starting to take the singlet out and they're starting to put in just like rash guards and shorts because kids are not wanting to wrestle in that singlet, bro. It's
Mm.
like, why are we still wrestling in a singlet?
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know where the singlet origins come from, but I guarantee you they're outdated. The sport has changed, time has changed, you know? And like I said, if you're training, especially for that type of situation, you said like a law enforcement or like correct, like whatever you said, like a law enforcement,
Mm.
you need to be able to rely on your training 100% of the time. The only way
Mm.
you can do that, in my opinion, is no gi because the collar, the grips, the no gi grips are always going to be there.
Yes.
Like, and so if you're training for self-defense type situations or real life situations, if you're asking my opinion, I believe no gi is superior. I think you
Yeah.
could be doing the gi does help your jujitsu. I'm not like, it does help your grips. It does help some of your fundamentals. It does help your jujitsu. But if you're looking for a just strictly self-defense approach to jujitsu, I think no gi is superior.
Yes.
I think the only point of training in the gi nowadays is if you have aspirations of competing in the gi and having some gi accolade,
Yeah.
or you just enjoy training in the gi. Or there is a couple, like I said, I live in Las Vegas. I'm born and raised in Las Vegas as well. So every climate, every place is a little different. If you live in a specifically cold climate and most of the time people are in thicker clothing and that's where you're at and that's where most of your time is spent is in a city where it's usually cold, then I could see the gi being practical for you, you
Yes.
know? But
Yeah. Yeah.
even
Y
still, bro, even still, you're fighting in the cold, you get into a fight with a guy in the sauna in your towels. You
So
know what I
true.
mean? Like,
Yeah,
even in
just
cold
so
places,
true.
we're gonna be inside. Is it freezing cold inside? Am I gonna have all this thick clothing on inside? It's like, I just am a firm believer in no-gi being superior for
You
self-defense.
know what, man? You make a really good point. Um, yeah, I 100% agree with you. And yeah, I think one of the systems that we teach over here as well, Jordan, is kinetic fighting. Kinetic fighting is the martial arts program used in the Australian Army, and one of the premises is make use of any available weapons. And would I do a rear naked choke? Um, or would I do a hoodie choke instead of doing a rear naked choke? Probably not. I would just do a rear naked choke. It just makes sense. But I
Exactly.
mean, like if the hoodie's there and you grab it, fuck,
For
why
sure.
not? Sure, do like it's the same thing. Like if someone has a weapon in front of you and you see a brick, fuck, pick the brick up.
Exactly.
Make use of any
Yeah.
available weapons. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
grappling with someone and the hoodie's there and you grab the hoodie and you're in a situation where you could choke them with the hoodie, fuck,
Do it.
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I agree with that. Like I'm not saying that the gi won't help you and the gi won't come into certain circumstances where it might, something might present itself or I've never trained in the gi before. I don't know how to choke with clothing and it could be as easy as just grab here. So like the
Yeah.
more knowledge you know, the better you can defend yourself. So
Mm.
I do agree with that thought process. But it really boils down to, like, yeah, like fight or flight responses of
Mm.
just you can't think. Your body is not thinking. It relies on it just goes back to your training. What do you goes your autopilot. And so
Yeah.
your autopilot has to be able to be usable all the time. And so
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
why I prefer no gi opposed to the gi.
Yeah, and I love no gi, Jordan. I really do. It's amazing, man. And I think, and you're also a master at leg locks, and some of the intricate leg locks I've watched you as well. How amazing is it to see just such a boom in jujitsu? We've had such a huge improvement in jujitsu in the last 20 years than we've ever seen in however long jujitsu originated thousands of
Exactly, yeah.
years ago. What do you think of the current wave and revolution that's been happened within leg locks and MMA? Like, what's your whole thought process on the evolution of jujitsu?
I think it is like hyperly evolving currently, and we are just still in the infancy of the sport. I still believe that the sport has many more techniques and many more metas that are gonna come and go, and that the next 20 to 30 years of jujitsu is going to look like 20 to 30 years from now, jujitsu is going to look a lot different than what it looks like now. We're
Yes.
just now starting to figure things out. We're just now starting to see D1 wrestlers learn leg locks and learn guard. We're just now starting to learn guard players learn how to wrestle and do slide bys and do sick takedowns. We're just now starting to see the implementation of no-gi judo with like guys like J-Flow and all these guys. There's a bunch of judo throws. Like judo is super underutilized in the
Oh,
sport.
judo's
So
amazing. Mm,
underutilized, bro. Judo is a super, super like hyper in-depth sport. There's a lot that goes on in the judo that
mhm.
wrestling guys aren't that good at, and jujitsu guys also aren't that good at. And so I think the techniques are just now starting to blend together, and we're starting to see almost like a new sport come together, if you will, of just submission grappling.
Yeah.
It's not just jujitsu anymore. It's jujitsu. It's wrestle judo jitsu. You know what I mean? As people say, it's wrestling, it's judo, and it's jujitsu. It's all three of them combined. And if you're not mixing all those three things together, 20, 30 years from now, you're not going to be able to compete. If you can't have high level judo, high level wrestling, and high level jujitsu, you're not going to be able to compete. And because of that, jujitsu is in its infancy and it's hyper evolving right now. And that's why you're starting to see leg locks and starting to see these trends in MMA. If jujitsu is an infant baby, jujitsu inside of MMA hasn't even came out of its mother's stomach yet.
Yeah.
Jujitsu is literally still developing in MMA. It hasn't
Mm,
even became an infant yet, bro.
yeah.
That's what I believe about MMA. And I know this because I train with a lot of the MMA fighters and champions and guys one on one. And I'm like, wow, I'm definitely not going to say any names at all, but like a lot of the guys I train with, I'm like, dude, I always like imagined you in my head to be a lot better than this. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, oh man, like but it's because they have to focus on so many things. MMA,
Yeah.
there's kickboxing, there's boxing, there's jiu-jitsu, there's wrestling, and then there's also a part of MMA that we don't ever work in jiu-jitsu or hardly ever, which is wall work, which is wall wrestling.
Yep.
You could be a high-level wrestler and then get put against the wall and not know what to do.
Mhm.
Wrestling and grappling against a cage and against a wall is its own art.
Oh,
And so I think jujitsu is just just beginning, bro. It's yeah, I'm super excited. The future is so brightly lit for jujitsu and MMA in general because
yeah.
UFC is hyper expanding, and as UFC gets bigger, so does jujitsu. As this tide rises, so does this tide. And as
Yeah.
this tide rises, and that rises this tide, that gives more money into this pot. What happens when there's more money in this pot, in the jujitsu pot? Oh shit, now there's more talented kids training. Now there's more families with money putting their kids into jiu-jitsu. And the more this happens, the more talent happens here, and the more this pool rises. And now jiu-jitsu is on another level, and now these MMA fighters come and train with these jiu-jitsu guys and get destroyed. And they're
Yes.
like, "Oh, we have to make our jiu-jitsu better." And there's a level of jiu-jitsu that is not um hasn't been obtained yet in
Yeah.
MMA. And so
Yeah.
they're going back and forth, and it's cool to see.
And I could talk to you all day about jujitsu, martial arts, self-defense. Dude, it's such an honor to sit down and have a chat with you, Jordan. And I really
Hey,
do
thank you,
hope
man.
to see you over in Australia. We'd love to have you, man. I really need to start knuckling down and working on my flexibility. Because I want to be able to sort of start working on rubber guard, and I'd love to talk to you again, maybe sometime down the track on the podcast, and get you back on and dive a little
Yeah,
bit deeper into rubber guard because it's an amazing tool to be able to utilize your legs. And I've seen obviously Ben Eddy doing his Hindu routine, and
yep.
you with your intricate like pretzel kind of stuff that you're doing. It's remarkable, man. But Jordan, where can people find you if they want to book in seminars with you, or
Yeah.
if they want to do privates? Where do they reach out to you?
Reach out to me through my Instagram, Jordan Wears No Gi. Um, that's probably the most reliable place you can get to me. Just reach out to me, especially if you want a seminar or a private. If those are the things, put that in there. I'll open it up right away, and any type of other messages, I'll try and get to as quick as
Yeah.
possible for sure. Yeah.
Amazing, Jordan. Yeah, hope to see you in Australia, man. We'll definitely get you over here for a seminar.
Thank you, man. Yeah, let's stay in touch, dude.
Y-
I'm excited, bro. I'd love to go
Yeah.
down there.
Awesome, Jordan. Cheers, man.
Hey, cheers, brother. Thank you.